And welcome back to day 2 of Brandenburg practice. If you missed yesterday's, go back and check it out. I just am starting to look at the Brandenburg Concerto Grosso number 2 by Johann Sebastian Bach. And I'm getting the chat app up now in case anybody does stop by. I don't necessarily expect anybody to, because these are all impromptu, but they're more for posterity, for my own benefit, to look back if I feel good about this performance and rehearsal that's coming up, or if I feel, like I should have done better or felt better about it, then I want to go back and look at how I practiced. And there's some things I'm leaving out, of course, that are just kind of boring, but we're going to do some of the boring things today, which is the best way to sell a live stream. So I I'm mostly concerned personally about my efficiency. Let me get that off the screen. I can't look at myself like 25 seconds in the past. My efficiency, and I'm going to use the B flat trumpet, but I'm also going to use a mouthpiece I used to use, which is the John Hagstrom Yamaha mouthpiece. And it's a great mouthpiece. I would still use it, except I switched to a straight 8, which is a little bit deeper and a little bit narrower with a little bit bitier. It's almost the same. It's just kind of reconfigured, which I guess every mouthpiece is almost the same, but slightly reconfigured. But anyway, so yeah. So I'm going to use that. And on the B flat trumpet, again, this French Besson. And we're going to turn on our tuner just because that's always a good thing. And our goal here is we really don't need anything higher than a double high A, and really we just need the high G to be really easy, right? So, and the length of a lower horn, you can sort of lean into it a certain way, and so I'm gonna do my high range exercises on the big trumpet, on the B flat trumpet, but on this mouthpiece that's closer to the rim that I'm actually using on piccolo. And so that my interface is kind of similar, right? That's number one thing I'm going to do. I'm also going to do these exercises for longer than normal. And we're also going to try, I found another top that I want to try that is actually literally this rim exactly. And then I also found another trumpet we're going to try, which is my Schilke that I played the first time I did this, I played my Schilke, which is the same design as the Yamaha that I was playing yesterday, but I had the valves plated into on that instrument, and so they're a little bit smaller inside the piston than they are in the ports in the valve casing, and so it kind of goes in and out of a little bit of extra compression, and that seemed to really help me on that one. I also forgot my bottom valve caps on that same performance, and so that might be something that I make a tradition just because it's stupid. Anyway, so we're doing the good old normal high range exercise from my YouTube channel that my dad taught me, 30 years ago now. Yeah, that's not quite the ease of lip trill I'd like, so we're going to do it again. And just take a little rest. If this sounds like a crazy exercise to you, really listen. It's not as crazy as it sounds. It's a arpeggio up to a lip trill, and then it's a scale where you go up a note and back down, and then start on the next note, go up a note and back down, and so on and so forth, right? So you're basically doing a lip trill scale, if you will, but you're just doing one little cycle of the trill on each note, right? Da-ya, 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 and you're not tonguing, of course. And then I'm just doing sort of the range of that. And it's all to just get your tongue position, your air working together. All right, that was plenty of rest. Now we're going to do G. see if we can work our way up to high A. And then I'm going to do more of the F sharp and G, okay? Just to simulate sort of what kinds of tongue positions and ranges we're going to use. And of course, like I said, it's easier actually on the longer trumpet because we have so much length to blow into. It's important to rest a little bit, even when you're trying to do something for endurance, right? I'm not doing this for endurance yet. I'm doing it for efficiency of range, of the way I get up there, right? So rest is critical. Flat. Again, this rim doesn't feel normal to me anymore, so I tend to sort of flatten out across it. It's not a very good feeling, but anyway, that's one of the reasons we're using it, because that's closer to the rim I'm using on Piccolo. So, and it may be the exact rim if I switch tops. I'm going to stand up as well. You can support a little better. I don't know why that one's so hard. I think my tongue position's too high. So this is the kind of thing, you can do this for so much time, and then you probably need to rest. So what we can do is try to do things like this as I think my way through the piece, right? Or we could put on a recording, but of course we can't do that on stream because it'll get tagged, and not on YouTube it probably just gets demonetized, which is fine. I don't make any money anyway on these, but on Twitch it actually cuts the audio completely out, and then I can't use it. Even if there's parts of it that where it's like I played it too good, except I didn't, because I didn't play anything that was from a recording on the part that it silenced. But it's sort of just, it's all machine learning. It just figures out a part that it says, this is a little risky, we're going to cut this part of this thing out. So, and I don't want that to happen, because then you can't hear what I said or what I played, even if it wasn't wrong, right? So anyway, so what we're going to do is just going to imagine the third movement we're going to think about, right? And we can actually look it up. I mean, you can look up the third movement of the Brandenburg and find out how long it is and time it that way too. But I find that then I'm looking at the timer and I'm like, oh, only 10 more seconds, or only a minute longer, right? And that's not really what it feels like to play the piece. So I like to just read my way through the piece while I do things that I don't need to think about, at least not much, right? So it's sort of approximato, as you might say. So here we go. I mean, we can actually play the piece, right? We could play it on 1 and 2. That's just a low F trumpet, right? Right, that's the right range, but we're not going to do that. We are going to play 1 and 3 though. Here we go. So this is the third movement. there is rest in here, so we're going to take some of the rest, right? Just a little break. Again, it's not going to feel like this, but we're building some habits and we're building some endurance, and we're kind of colliding those two. All right. Huh. A little more rest now. Oh, doesn't feel good. I'll try to sort of do the ending. So I didn't quite get the high G at the end, near the end, I mean, but it's approximately the right amount of time. And I can feel there's a couple of things that we can do with that. That's all we're going to do on the B-flat trumpet, probably. But there's a couple of things we can do with that. One is I can feel that I'm pressing really hard into my bottom right corner. I'm just really angling down there, and that's not going to be great. I don't feel any fatigue on my top left corner. So I want to balance those. So I want to press a little harder up here and a little less hard here. These other two also feel fine. So I really buried everything in that bottom right. And I want to avoid that. So when I do my warm-up tomorrow and I do my high range exercise, which is that exercise, I will try not to crush that corner so hard. And also I'm going to rest enough now. I'm going to drink some water so that I don't feel that sort of fatigue there, or that pain, and but before I try to actually play piccolo a little bit. And our piccolo exercises, this will be a shorter, probably, video or I guess stream, because we're interested in doing some very fundamental, basic things that if I don't get them right, I don't want to do them too long. If I do get them right, then I'll do them as long as I can, but because they're not necessarily something that I do automatically every time I play, I'd like to. These are habits I'm trying to build over time, but because they're not quite habits yet, they may take me a lot of energy to sustain, and so I want them to be as familiar as possible by the rehearsal on Saturday and by the gig in May, but I'm not going to just bang my head against the wall after I sort of get it. I want to be able to get it every time I ask for it. And you can't really build a habit in 4 days or in 3 days now, right? But I can build it, if I'm familiar with it enough, I can build something that I can ask for and get most of the time. And if it's that critical, if it's a critical component of, let's say, my efficiency or my endurance or whatever it is, then I can ask for it over and over again. And if I get it most of the time, then I'll be able to make it through. If I don't get it most of the time because I didn't build it right, then I'm not going to make it. And if I get it every time, but it's not that critical, then I won't make it either. So that's the kind of thing that you want to think about. If you're like me, you can also just practice it long enough that it just gets easier, right? The more familiar you are with a piece, the easier it's going to be. Unfortunately for me, I'm very familiar with Brandenburg. I can pretty much play it from memory, and that isn't enough by itself, right? I need more than that. So I wouldn't want to say just get more familiar with it and that's all you need. But if you practice it regularly, and you practice piccolo regularly, then you can just play it long. You could just do it enough that you get it. But for some people that won't work, right? Like I said, for me, I need more than that. I need to really, I do all those things already, and it's not enough. So that's what we're doing here. So I wanted to say that because I want to make sure that people understand that it's not a fault if you can't just play any piece. If you just play it and play it and play it and it doesn't get better, that's not. First of all, it's not a good strategy anymore, and secondly, that's not something to be ashamed of or afraid of or whatever. It just means you need to strategize better, that you're going to need to do something different. Even if your best friend just played the piece over and over again and got there, you're not her, right? So you might have to do more work than that, and that's okay. All right. So we also did not use reverb yet. We will get to that. But the next thing we're going to do is actually just practice the turnaround part of our embouchure formation. And in some ways I should have already done this, but I wanted to do it specifically on piccolo because the vector of pressure on piccolo, where is this mouthpiece? There. This is my normal mouthpiece for piccolo, the same one I ended up on yesterday. The vector for pressure on piccolo, you can see, right? It's different. This arm versus a B-flat trumpet, let's get that back out, right? If I hold this B-flat trumpet like normal, and put a mouthpiece in it just so you can see, all right? Then I'm pulling with basically these two fingers here, right? And I'm pulling the whole trumpet into my face this way. So I have a little bit of control. I can pull my pinky down this way or push my thumb up this way. So I have a little control up and down. And I have, if I pull harder, I tend to pull into the bottom, which is what I was doing, right? That's why this, I was pulling across like this, right? And that was these fingers pulling down. So that's just something, again, something that we mostly don't have to think about. And so good for us. We don't need to worry about it. But in this case, it really could make or break because now look, this is a slightly different lever, right? I was way out here with, well, more like here, right, with the B-flat trumpet. And now I'm in here. So the lever is in a different place. I've got more valves, which doesn't really move my pinky too much, but my thumb doesn't have a brace to rest on, so it might touch the lead pipe, but normally I just sort of force it through, you know, just like that. And so now, and then I also have to operate this third valve sometimes, right, with my middle finger. And that middle finger isn't on the valve casing anymore, it's out here. So these are all things that, like, okay, that's different, right? So what? Well, so that means that I'm not going to be able to pull as straight in, but I probably will be able to pull just as much down. So I'm going to have to really be careful about that vector. And I may actually use, a lot of people say don't use your pinky ring, but in this case, I might want to use more pinky ring on the piccolo so that because that's more in line, it's not perfectly in line, but that's more in line with my lead pipe than this ring is with my middle finger in it. And it's also putting a lot of pressure on this index finger, and sort of the end of my finger goes through there and hits the valve casing there. So when I don't need to operate this, I can push on the valve casing with two fingertips, and I can sort of stabilize with this finger. So it's just a lot different is the point. And if you've never thought about that, you might go get your different trumpets and see, you know, when you naturally apply pressure, does it go one direction or another, left, right, up, down, what, right? And you might find that the trumpet that you don't play as well has a different vector of pressure, and then if you adjust for that, then all of a sudden you play that trumpet a lot better. Or vice versa. Sometimes you find that, like, yeah, you actually, you know, you need more of something that seemed wrong before. So anyway, So we're just going to practice we want the turnaround. So what is that? That's the breath in and the blow with the embouchure being formed on the way in, right? So that I don't have to go, I want, right? That's what we want. That's going to give us the most bang for our buck for our air, right? And we're just going to try easy notes first and move it around. So here we go. See, I did it. And after a while, you can hear, like, I started to get tired. It's just, I call these medium tones. I want to see if the response happens right away. If it doesn't, I adjust a little bit, try it again. If the response does happen, I want to make sure that that's sustainable, right? And what does that mean? Well, it means I don't feel tired right after the note responds, or, you know, a second or two in. And also that the tone doesn't wobble all over the place, or if it does, what am I going to do about it, right? So you also notice I keep changing my hand position. I'm trying to find a really good one that at least makes these notes work well, right? So, and then if that's not going to work for the whole range of the trumpet, which it probably won't, then that's okay. I can change it, but at least I know where to go to find the ease of response that I want. And then as I add my hand position back, I can keep that feeling. See, I keep wanting to press down like that. See, that one sort of was weird. It responded okay, but then it wanted to be in a lower pitch center than I wanted. So that might be a good way to go down. You also might notice, too, that I'm not tonguing, and it doesn't always respond right away the way that you might think I would want it to. But again, this is a... When I actually put this into practice, when I'm playing the piece, I'm not going to think about any of this. I'm just trying to get used to the way that this instrument responds most efficiently with my lip and my air, right? And I need to adjust my part of that to fit it well. You also don't want to preset. If you completely 100% preset, maybe breathe through your nose or something, a lot of people have some success with that, but it's overall still going to be less efficient than if the last little 3% of the embouchure responds to the air being blown across it, right? And then that lets the air do the maximum amount of work. and it makes you do a little work, but at least that's my understanding. I'm happy to be proven wrong and change my ways if anybody can prove it to me. But this is the best way I know how to do it for now. So it's a little not quite right, but we're starting to find a good blow, a good tongue position, a good lip position, and really be able to trust this horn, right? Boy, oh boy. So exercises like this, again, they're tedious, they're a little bit tiring, but they really get a good interface from you to the horn, and you really want it to be the mouthpiece that you're going to use. Let's try the other top before we get too deep in the practice, and we'll see if we can do that same kind of exercise on the other top, which is where? Oh, way back here. So this is the same exact cup, the same exact hole, but with with that Hagstrom rim that I talked about, right? So we probably should have tried this one first, but it's all right. That's what we had yesterday. And you want to blow some hot air through any new top when you're trying them out, because the other one is hot because you've been playing it and it's been on your face. This one is cold, so it immediately makes your lips shrink just a little bit, and sometimes that feels really good and then later doesn't. So you're still using your lips, which cools them down a little bit, but not a lot more than resting. Actually works pretty well. I feel like it's going to tire me out more, but let's try this one for a little while today, okay? So I see there's one person watching. Welcome. Practicing Brandenburg, even though it hasn't sounded like that so far. But that's what we're doing right now. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them because I need to rest plenty during this kind of practice. So type them in the chat and I will see them and we can get a little bit of a dialogue going. Okay, you might think, okay, what's the next step? Well, if we're going to try this mouthpiece out. We also want to try both the Schilke and the Yamaha. This was the Yamaha so far because that's what we're familiar with from yesterday and from most of my piccolo playing. So we want to see if one of those works better than the other. One of those mouthpieces works better than the other. One of those trumpets works better than the other for these purposes. And but the first thing we're going to do is basic stuff on piccolo, right? What we did yesterday was kind of play through chunks of things, and I wrote down, actually, let me get it out. It's on my phone. Let me get it out. I wanted to practice octaves on the piccolo. I'm going to do some basic lip slurs. That's the first thing I'm going to do, and just try to get that working and some scales and things like that. But I wanted to practice octaves specifically because I just didn't feel like those were as easy as they should be. And then I also wanted to practice my pitch continuity. I found that when I tongued lower notes, like a bunch of low Ds in a row, that my pitch was skewing all over the place. And you can hear that if you look back at the video. That's how I heard it. I didn't hear it while I was playing, but now I wanna make sure that I have control over the pitch, because pitch skew with all that reverb that we had from yesterday is really going to make a big difference, and it's going to make me sound out of tune, and it's also going to make other people sound out of tune, and that's just not okay. So that's what we're going to do. Yeah. So I mean, we could just attack those things, but I'd rather figure out what horn I'm going to play, at least for the rest of the day, first. And so that's what we're going to do, and decide if this mouthpiece really is going to work or if I need to go back. Because last time I did this, I did have this mouthpiece and I didn't choose it either. So there could be a reason for that, right? So, but let's just do some basic lip, not even lip slurs, but slurring around the horn, and then we'll get to lip slurs, right? That's not a useful octave necessarily, but I'm just kind of seeing if this works. It does feel harder to play around the horn when I'm not just playing one note at a time. This rim feels great then, but when I'm playing more than one note in succession, it's feeling a little bit tough. So. So just easy lip slurs. I'm going to try the other mouthpiece. The mouthpiece is more, it's going to matter more than the horn, at least for the way it feels to me. The horn is going to matter for the overall, the blow, the consistency, my ability to control intonation. It's going to matter for a lot of things, including how it feels to play the whole piece. But the mouthpiece is the first sort of bastion of your interface, right? So see, you can hear it's not as easy a response for me, but again, if you notice, I will tip my trumpet a little bit. I'll use a little bit of passive pressure to get around the horn, and it affects the intonation, which again, I don't want. So that's what I'm paying attention to. Yeah, too much pressure, and you can hear that it wants to be bright and it wants to click up to the next partial. So I have to be careful with this too. So we're probably not going to play a lot of like actual Brandenburg today, but we're going to calibrate things. We're going to get things going. Let's try the other horn now, which is my Schilke P54 with a brass bell. If you have one of these instruments, it probably doesn't have a brass bell, because most of them that were made well, most of them that were made at this point don't have the brass bell was the first design, and the bell is sort of heavy compared to the modern bells, which are made out of beryllium copper. And for a little while, they were made out of sort of electroplating. It was a very dangerous process. So there are very few that have this extremely thin bell that you can almost see through. And it was not specifically electro. It was another form of beryllium, I think. I'm not positive on the whole thing, but yeah, for a long time it was basically barely a bell at all, and that meant that it responded really well, but it also had sort of a paper-thin sound, and so I prefer the brass bell. Even though response is one of my biggest issues, I prefer the sound of this horn to the others. But when you play a beryllium bell, a modern P54 made by Schilke, you notice how easy it is to play, and that's one of their biggest selling points, as well it should be, because Piccolo is already hard enough, right? So, in fact, I might even play a beryllium bell on Brandenburg if I had one available. So, one of my colleagues is trying to get me to play his Scherzer on this Brandenburg. And he said they installed Brandenburg at the factory because Scherzer is a German instrument, which is funny. But the Scherzer that I played would not, way back when I was learning piccolo, would not have been able to play Brandenburg. So I'm sort of shying away. I also don't need a new, that's a rotary valve trumpet, so then the vector of pressure is this way instead of this way. And I don't need more variables, right? Although that might help me get some pressure off here. So I told them I'd try it out a little bit. You never know, maybe it's good. All right, so this is a Schilke. I don't know, I sort of like that. Oh, hello there, muffin ombre. Nice picture of a muffin. What kind of muffin is that? Probably blueberry, I'd have to guess. Maybe not, though. So, okay, back and forth with, let's put the headphones on, first of all, and the reverb. If you weren't here yesterday, get ready for crazy amounts of reverb, because that's what it's going to be like. And I sort of like this Schilke all of a sudden. Don't tell Yamaha, because I'm a Yamaha clinician. But Brandenburg is a special enough piece that if I need to play it on this, I will. I like the feel and the sound of that. Now let's try the Yamaha. I don't know, sound-wise I don't notice a big difference. Do you? Oh, chocolate chip, very good. That's a better muffin overall, although arguably dessert muffin. Although, I mean, all of them have a lot of sugar. They're all delicious. We used to have blueberry muffins in the coffee shop I worked in Syracuse, and I ate a lot of those. This live reverb comes from my Studio Live AR8C, which is made by PreSonus. It's the actual board that I'm plugged into. I have all my mics plugged into. It has 16 presets that it can apply in different amounts to the different tracks. So we're using number 13, which is Endless Delay. And it unfortunately has a little bit of a repeat echo effect. But when I play longer, it has the same kind of characteristics as the hall that this is going to be played in here in Greenville. Let's try a little bit of this. Got a little stutter tongue there. That doesn't feel too bad. Let's see what this one feels like. Oh boy. If I remember, and I'm feeling this now, if you don't get it exactly right on this Schilke, it doesn't come out. But if you do, it feels really easy. So that might be what we do. it's a little bit restrictive overall. We'll have to go back and forth a little bit on different sections. Have I heard of the U.S. Navy Band? Of course I have. Yes, absolutely. There are many, many Navy bands, but if you're referring to the premier bands, there are at least two of those. I believe there's a Navy, some sort of ceremonial band. I'm not sure what they're called specifically. They probably have a commander's name associated with them. And then there's a Naval Academy band, which is also incredibly professional. That's also in the DC area there. So great group to play for or to hear. And military bands are a great career. If you're thinking about one, you should definitely pursue it. I was already teaching by the time I was really able to do any of those types of auditions when I thought I might actually be able to win one. And so I ended up just sticking to my teaching because it's more what I wanted to do. Sometimes I think, well, I could have done both. I could have done 5 or 6 or 10 or whatever years. And a lot of people do that. But I'm not very good at taking orders, so I don't know if I would have lasted very long. Yeah, it's a great band. I mean, and Navy, Air Force, Marine band. Everybody knows the Marine band. The Army has several premier bands in different genres, but also with different responsibilities, with different what they call missions, right? And there are a lot of positions in the premier bands in the Army, and so a lot of people go out for those because they also, if you audition for one band and they know they have an opening in another band coming up, and they don't hire you for that one, but they think you'd be a good fit for the other one, sometimes they'll just kind of like tell you because it's going to be some of the same people. And so then you come back for that audition because, they want you. They sort of have you have their vote of confidence a little bit, right? So anyway, I could talk about this forever. Thanks for the questions because I need the rest, right? Let's see if we can do some of this on the. Let's play the shilky for a little while and see if that actually works out. How about the ending here? No, sorry, that's not the ending. So there it is, a little bit of the last page, and now we're going to try the Yamaha. And it's not really fair to whichever horn is second, right? That's why I wanted to rest and then play some of the shilky. That felt fine. I think I could get that locked in if I spent some time on it over the next month. But I'd really like to do it on the Yamaha if I can, because I'm supposed to play Yamaha. And because I love this horn, and I think that the sound of it is great. Yeah, it is hard, but that's what this series is about. I don't think we probably don't know each other, Muffin, but it's weird to call you Muffin. Maybe I'll call you Ombre, or just your whole name. But this little mini series of my live streams here is mostly about making this intelligibly doable, right? So even if it is hard, it's something that we can approach, and that's what we're doing. So we're using equipment right now because that's what I'm primarily concerned with, so that the rest of the week I can work on the equipment I'm actually going to use and get familiar with it. So anyway, I think I like this mouthpiece. I don't think I'm going to go back to the other one. This is the right answer. So, well, whatever I want is, I don't have any qualms, and I don't know what else I would call you except by your whole name. So. Trombone literature. Just to get back into this horn a little bit. All right, same passage. You know, it's not as easy, I don't think. Let's go back right away to the Schilke. Now, again, remember, I had this Schilke specifically designed to play this piece. And in fact, I didn't even get to premiere it on, premiere, not the Brandenburg, but I didn't even get to play the Brandenburg on this instrument first, after its modifications. My friend Wes Schedule did that, and that was part of the deal. He and I split the cost of getting the valves plated in, and he got to borrow my Piccolo trumpet for 2 months, and then he sent it back to me, and I only had 1 month to figure out how to play it again. So let's do that same passage with not enough rest to... Yeah, I think this might be the answer, whether I like it or not. And it does make sense, right? That the smaller valve ports, or the smaller valve, I guess the little macaroni noodles that go through the actual moving piston are smaller, and so then it's a little more efficient, right? So we'll have to experiment with this. I haven't played this horn in a long time, but it seems to be working better today, at least. So I'm not going to belabor the point. What we are going to do, though, on this horn, for instance, is what I wanted to work on earlier, right? Which is octaves. So we want those octaves. Let me turn this tuner back on again. Move it to tuning mode. Hello. There it is. And we're going to just try to play. There's two things we want to do, right? We're going to play octaves, and we want stability in our longer notes, especially articulated ones like that, what I just played, right? It's good to see you, Muffin. I want that just to be one solid intonation, right? I don't want it to be or which is what it was a little bit yesterday. It's kind of leaps up and comes back down. So, and a lot of times that's because the articulation is too hard. If we go ta, ta, then it'll skew usually sharp or flat depending on what range you're in and how you hold your lips, but, you know, you kind of hear that. For me, it skews a little bit sharp, at least in that range. So let's do some octaves now. So I'm a little sharp overall. I didn't check that. I didn't check this horn when I started playing it. Should be enough. I also don't, it's good to have another piccolo that the screw, I need to get backup screws for this because I don't have any now. I haven't used one, I never have had one. And that means that this screw is probably about to go. And what'll happen is it'll snap in the middle and then your lead pipe is all the way in or nothing, right? And if it happens while you're playing, usually it happens when you just adjusted it and you snap it off with screwing it too tight. If it happens while you're playing, though, then you can really damage your teeth and your chops, so be careful. Still a little bit sharp, but I'm just going to leave it alone. It's probably because I'm hearing the pitch up there now because I've played so long in it. octaves also can be very difficult, so you want to, if you do them well, it can be very taxing, I should say. So, and you can tell I'm getting tired because I do things in little bits and pieces, but I'm trying to keep going, not rest too much, because I do want to build some endurance for this. See, that was a bad, I tried to preset. Sorry, I'm snapping my fingers. It's just that when I feel tension in my joints when I'm playing, I snap my fingers because usually that's what it is, and it was. Getting really sharp now. That's one of the problems with the extra compression in the valves, that it tends to sharpen as it goes higher, but it's not necessarily its fault. It's just it doesn't help me not do it. You can also just pull out a little bit more. You don't want to do too much. The longer it gets, the less good it feels usually. So this also has clankier valves. You can hear that one especially. It's just because it has a little bit less bracing on it than the Yamaha, and it's a little more flat constructed. So in other words, all the valves are completely straight, goes straight through, whereas on the Yamaha, the valves are straight, but the pieces in between them are bent that connect them. So for whatever reason, that just makes this one a little bit clickier, which it's also the way that the valves are aligned so that it has corks up here. I'll sort of show you. There's corks up here instead of down in there. Those are just blank. So it makes it a little clackier. That was a good rest for high G. Not too bad. There's a really nice Vizzuti piece that I'm trying to remember the name of right now. If it's my dad that's still watching, you can tell me. But what's the one where he does this octave on Piccolo, where it's like he picks off like a double high A or double high B or something. It's a really pretty piece for, I think it's just Piccolo and strings. It's not Andante and Capriccio, because that's B flat and Piccolo for the trumpet parts, but I think it's just Piccolo and strings. It's on the Baroque and Beyond album, and it's like one of the first tracks. It's up front, close to the beginning of the album, and it's just a gorgeous piece. And I hear it. It does something like let's see if I can remember some of it. It's nice to play lyrical things on Piccolo anyway. Thing, right? right? So, which is a different strategy that I sort of wanted to get to. Let's try the other Yamaha just to see. Yeah, see, it's so much more work. It also could be that I've just played the other trumpet too much, right? But I think that at least gives me some information about. I mean, it's easier. So maybe the Schilke. Back to the Schilke for Brandenburg. What are you going to do? Sorry, Yamaha. I gave it a shot. But that being said, maybe if I get my valves of my Yamaha plated in, then it will work. I already know that it works on the Schilke, and the Yamaha plays better than the Schilke overall. It's just not quite as efficient for this type of thing, for lots of high Gs and octaves and things. So anyway, that's not quite, I guess, all what we need to do today, right? We need to make sure that our pitch is not skewing on repeated notes. And we did a little bit of it, but let's do a little bit more. I heard it yesterday, I think in the third movement, but let's look in the first movement. I heard it a little bit here too. So yeah, I'd love to, Mom. It's just not very easy to do. Plus, it's fine. You can hear me just fine. That's why I have this mic right here, so it's very clear. And if I talk softer, you can still hear me, but you don't get as much echo. So I could do that. But thanks. I noticed it yesterday, and it's a lot. I did it all day yesterday. It's like I have to turn two little knobs back, all the way back down, and then I have to get my fingers back on them and turn them all the way back up. So I'll just talk softly, as in a morning sunrise. Wait, no, it's and carry a big stick. One of those two. Oh, there was one that was bad, right? So, okay, good. So I think, see, I did it at the end because now I'm going to talk until the end of the stream. Yeah, I think that's good for now, for today. I put a little bit of a hole in my lip from that early, at the beginning practice, so I'm going to have to take it easier tomorrow. And I didn't hit it as hard as I thought I would today, but we made a lot of progress. We chose a mouthpiece, we chose a trumpet that we're going to play it on, and now those things will remain consistent unless something goes horribly wrong, like break the screw in my Schilke, or maybe if I really just feel like I'm not getting through the piece well enough, then I can switch mouthpieces or horns as it seems appropriate. Sometimes you have to make a last-minute call. There's also the option of a raw brass mouthpiece, which is very sticky, and the stickiness of the I don't know. I might have one. hold on. Let me see if I can find this same exact mouthpiece, but the raw brass version. I know I have one. I'll be right back. After these messages, I'm sure that's copyrighted too. That was a PBS thing. Okay. So now we've got this box that is a Blackwing pencil box, but I keep some of my tops in here. So what we're looking for is V2. Here's the V1, that didn't work. Here's the V3, which I think is actually a copy of the V2 as well. There's a copy of a 6A4A. V228, so here, this is the raw brass version. You can sort of see that it doesn't have any plating on it, right? And I'm not allergic to raw brass entirely. It irritates my lip a little bit if I play it long enough. But oh, you know, there's actually another back bore we want to try too. So let's try two more things since there's a couple of people watching, and Mom, I'll do my best to turn off the echo, but it's not on right now, so I can talk to you all I want. So okay, so this was the S6. Yesterday I said Schilke 6. I didn't actually mean it's a Warburton back bore, but the S series is for Schilke instruments specifically, and that's what I like to use for my back bores on Piccolo. The other one we're going to try is the SCH, which is just what he used to put before he just switched it to S because it was more efficient. 5. So this is the same back bore, but like a size smaller, basically. And we'll try it with the same cup, and we'll try it on both horns. And we'll do some more of the stuff. Well, we'll actually play the piece. Let's do that. Yeah, we'll put the reverb up. So this is the Schilke 5 backboard, or the Warburton Schilke 5 backboard on the Schilke. See why we did all those octaves? Now the same thing on the Yamaha. Actually, a lot easier. Much easier. Go back to this one. I start to get flat when I am tired. So we'll try back to the old back bore. I liked both the Schilke and the Yamaha though on that back bore. So maybe the answer is the Yamaha with that back bore instead, because it's a little smaller back bore, a little bigger trumpet. Let's try. This is still the Schilke. Ish. Okay, now I'm interested in, right, the raw brass top. That was the back bore I'm supposed to like, so I'm probably just getting tired now. Oh boy. Yeah, it's if you don't get your lip in there exactly the right way, then this mouthpiece punishes you. But if you do, then it rewards you. So I'm not going to mess with that now, especially when I'm tired. I'll just end up putting my lip in the wrong spot. What I am going to do is pre-pro for tomorrow. Well, it's not really pre-pro is not the right word at all, but I'm going to prepare the Schilke 5 back bore with the cup that I've chosen, and I'm not going to tell myself that. In other words, I'll just leave it this way, and I'm not going to remind myself or look at it or anything. I'm just going to put it in the Schilke trumpet. No, sorry. We're going to try it one more time in the Yamaha and see if we like that better. And so I know I'm changing my mind back to the Yamaha again, but if this backbore really makes a difference, then it gives me a little more wiggle room. So yeah, that's better, right? That's fine. And then let's try it again on the Schilke, because it might just be better on the Schilke. You know, I'm not convinced that that's a good setup on the Schilke, but it is definitely better on the Yamaha. So the 5 backbore stays with the Yamaha. And the 6 backbore, let's see if we like that better in the Schilke. I think we do. I didn't intend for this stream to go an hour, but it's going an hour. So yeah, there's a little more depth to the sound. I know I kept the echo off just because I knew I was going to talk a lot. So yeah, I think this is better for the Schilke, and the 5 is better for the Yamaha. And that might be a good reason to play the Yamaha, because it gives me a little more wiggle room, but it's just about as efficient with the smaller backbore. So we'll see. Tune in again tomorrow to find out if I've made that choice or not. And we'll probably do more standard stuff tomorrow, like just play through big chunks of it and try to make it more efficient by actually practicing it, not just playing it, right? Yeah, and I really need to be careful about this spot on my lip. It's definitely a hole now. Yeah, from just the edge of my tooth. So I must be really favoring that. So I need to just make sure I get a good warm up sorry, not favoring it, using it. And so I need to get a good warm up tomorrow that favors it instead, that uses the rest of my face. But anyway, that's going to do it for us today. That's plenty of Brandenburg, and I don't know how long we've been going. I should say somewhere for me. Yeah, over an hour. So that's plenty of practice on Brandenburg. I should be doing this in 20-minute chunks over the course of all day. But it's, you know, it's more convenient for everybody if I do it all at once, including me. So anyway, thanks everybody for coming. Thanks, Mom, for coming by. And I'll be back on tomorrow, I think, and practicing something again, even if it's not a 100% piccolo trumpet, because I probably need to play more low trumpet just to make sure I'm still healthy as a trumpet player. And so, but I'll play some Brandenburg too. Okay. Thanks again. See you tomorrow.